Hi, so this is officially the first part of the Quail Breeding Diaries, and today I want to talk about my goals and my plans for my quail breeding for 2025. Because one of the most important things when breeding quails is to actually have goals and also have a plan how to achieve them. Because if you just randomly breed your quails, you don't know what you will end up with and you will probably not progress in your breeding. So without further ado, I would just say let's get into it. I have written down my goals on my phone here. I would very much recommend writing your goals down, because if you just have them in your head, you can't really visualize them and you might forget something. I will split my goals into 3 categories. The first one is actual breeding, so my goals for the animals, for the looks, where I want to progress there. Then the second is finances, because that is also important, and then some miscellaneous things which I also want to try or achieve, but which don't fit in any of the other categories. Okay, so first off, the most important, let's start with my goals for the breeding birds. My number one goal this year is to focus on Manchurian dilute, which is the color variety I also breeded for the last few years, and I have tried a few others, but I really want to stick with this one now. Then another goal I have is to try and start with fawn dilute actually. My focus will be on the Manchurian dilute, but if I get the time, I will definitely try some fawn dilutes too. For this I will probably have to get some breeding birds or hatching eggs of normal fawns, because there are not fawn dilutes anywhere on the market as far as I know. So it would be really nice to get them. For the Manchurian dilute, I have 2 things that I want to achieve, which is first of the weight of the quails. My quails right now are pretty heavy, and that is good if you want to have them for meat, but it does affect them on their long-term health. So if I have older quails, 2 or 3 years, they sometimes struggle with joint problems. And just this morning I have a quail which isn't even that old. I think she is 1.5 years old or something. She has what I think is a joint infection. So to prevent that, it would be nice if the quails were a little lighter than they are right now. And then the second thing is the pattern. So I want to focus on the differences between hen and rooster. So for the hens, that they have a nice dotted pattern on the chest. The roosters have a plain chest, for example, and also the back, so that it's not that chaotic. My next goal is to raise 200 quails. This is more than last year, so I will see if I will achieve this, because hatching machines which we have can only fit around 40 to 50 quail eggs. If then only 80% hatch, I will have to do a lot of hatches, so we will see if I will be able to reach the goal, but it would be nice to have that many quails. And then most of it I will sell, which brings me to the next part, which is finances. For finances, my first goal is to sell enough quails to cover all quail-related expenses. So bedding, feeding, any additional supplies I need, hatching eggs. This might seem more straightforward than it actually is, because even if I sell most of the hens, I will keep some hens for breeding, and I won't sell that many roosters. Most of the roosters we have are for meat. So if I only sell some hens, the price of the hens has to include the costs for the roosters and for the breeding hens I keep as well. And I did some calculations on this, and I think that the price for quail hens this year will be 7 to 8 euros. I'm not sure yet. And if I make a profit, I want to reinvest part of it. First off, I would like to buy some tons for storing the feed, because right now we only have, I think, 1, and it is very practical and useful. So I would like to get 1 or 2 if that's possible, and which is a little unrealistic, but you never know what happens, right? So is a new brooder, because right now our brooder isn't that big, so a bigger one would be nice. And yeah, maybe it will be possible, we will see. When we talk about selling, I want to sell at the farmer's market this year, because last year I didn't get to, because I had no time, and if I'm honest, it wasn't really necessary, because I was able to sell all the quails I wanted to sell to friends or people in my breeding club. So yeah, but Farmers markets are really fun. First of all, you get to see a lot of different animals there. You get to meet some other breeders and people. The last thing on selling quails is that I want to sell some breeding animals as well, because last year I just sold hens, which you could technically use for breeding if you're just a hobby breeder, but most of them are just for eggs or pets. It depends. I want to raise most of my chicks true by color, and then the more beautiful ones I can keep for breeding animals. But if I raise 200 quails, then I will have a lot more than I will keep for breeding animals. So I might be able to sell some breeding animals to others too. And these ones will be a little higher in price because it's obviously more work to produce breeding animals than for just normal mixed colors. Something I have thought about a lot, but I'm not sure how I will do this, is selling eggs. Because there is like a local shop where I can sell my eggs. It's just that the demand is like, it's not even here. So maybe I will sell 1 box of eggs a week. Then this is not at all worth it. So I have to collect the eggs, I have to make sure that they are clean, and then I have to bring them there, and then if they don't get bought, about 1 or 2 weeks later I have to take them back and switch them out with new ones. And then just for so little eggs to actually be sold is, it's not worth it. I want to find some new ways to sell quail eggs, but I don't know to whom yet, and I don't know where. But I will try to figure something out, because we will have more eggs than we are able to eat, I'm sure, and I don't want them to go to waste. So selling eggs would also be nice, and another stream of income. Now onto the last category, which are just some random things which don't really fit in any other, but I still want to achieve. So here I have visiting at least one poultry expo. Poultry expos are basically organized by breeders' clubs, and you can see a lot of breeding animals and animals which are really bred to a certain standard. It's not like a farmer's market where you can find all sorts of random animals to sell. It's really to have high quality breeding animals you can look at, and sometimes you can buy some there, but usually it's really for the breeders so that their animals get looked at by a judge. The judge tells them which flaws their animals have, what are some good things. My breeding club won't be able to organize their own poultry expo this year, sadly, so I will have to visit some others. Poultry expos are also a way to visit some other breeding clubs and maybe make some connections to the people there and get to know new people. But next year I maybe want to also exhibit quails on my own, and therefore I need to buy rings, which I have to do this year. So buying rings is another goal. And then a very important topic, which is documentation. I was not really able to keep up with my documentation as well as I would like to last year, and this was mainly, I think, because the note sheets I created were really complicated and it took a lot of time to fill them out. So I have already simplified the note sheets for this year, and I will show that in the next episode of the Quail Breeding Diaries, where it is going to be about documenting and resetting for a new quail breeding year. And then hopefully I will be able to really stick to the documentation and find a form which is doable for me. Then building a second portable coop, or maybe a third one, because if I want to raise 200 quails I need some more space for them. As I said, most of the roosters will be slaughtered, so harvesting meat is another thing. I would like to harvest as much meat as I will need in the winter and the summer semester. So winter semester of 2025 and summer semester of 2026, because I'm studying at university in Vienna and I am there from Monday to Friday and then only come home on the weekends, and I would really like to have my own meat which I can eat and where I know that it is ethically okay to eat it and it's also good for the environment. That's also part of the reason why I want to raise so many quails, to have enough meat for my own and also of course other people of my family. Then I have a goal which is also maybe hard to achieve, and it is to find good soy-free quail feed and in my budget. The quail feed I have right now is relatively locally sourced which is a plus, but it does contain soy, and soy is not the best in production and also for the nutrition of poultry. So it would be nice to have a feed source without soy, but I don't really know where to get it because the only source I know right now is just too expensive. And the feed is also produced in Germany, so the transportation is a lot longer and it would maybe cost triple to what I pay now for my feed. I would like to find new feed for the quail, and if I'm not able to do that, then I want to at least supplement a part of their diet with soy-free feed. Maybe mixing some feeds if it's not possible to find something in my budget so that I can exchange it entirely. And in general, I want to gather some more information about the quail's nutrition and maybe supplement with herbs, with seeds, with natural source supplements to just improve their overall nutrition and health. And this were all my main goals, and I just have one little goal left, which is to actually craft decorations with feathers, eggshells maybe, and I might be able to sell some for Easter, for example. And this is really just for me to be creative and to craft something, but not really necessary or anything, but would be nice. At the beginning of this video I have mentioned that it's not only important to have goals, but also plans on how you will achieve them. And my plan for most of the things is actually raising a lot more quails. So this way I will be able to sell more if I raise more and have more quails, obviously. And then I will be able to cover the expenses, maybe make a profit. It will also make it easier to achieve my goal of harvesting enough meat. And it will also help me with selling breeding animals, because not all chicks that hatch are suitable for breeding. So the more chicks I have, the more breeding animals I can actually select. So some of my other goals, for example, the soy-free feed, I don't really know how I will do it yet, but I will just start looking things up, start gathering more information, learning about the topic, and then I will know a lot more and probably be able to figure something out. Quail breeding year doesn't start at the same time for everyone, because it's really just how it's suitable for you. I know some breeders which already start breeding and hatching chicks in January, which is way too early for me. So for me it's fine if I take January to just really think about my goals, making plans and so on. But you could also do this in February or March, it just depends when you start. But I would recommend not waiting too long, because the earlier you start, the more time you also have to really think about it, to assess everything. I'm hearing a woodpecker in our forest right now, but I can't see it. Yeah, okay. The last thing I would advise you to do, especially if you're starting out with breeding, is to not to set too many goals with the actual breeding process. It would maybe be better to settle on one color or maybe two, but not that many different colors, because then everything is going to be a lot complicated. You may be not able to achieve your goals because it's just too much. And yeah, the first years when I bred quails, I had so many breeding groups that I was not able to even hatch eggs from every one of them. So really maybe settle for one or two colors, and for those colors really decide what you want. So do you want to focus on character this year? Do you want to focus on weight, which is, for example, for me? Do you want to focus on the coloring or the pattern? And of course it's not like you can only pick one of these, but it's good to have a main focus, in my opinion. And my main focus is the weight this year, because the health problems in the future, I don't really want to deal with them, and I want my quails to have a very happy and healthy life. So this is something very important to me. This is it for this video and for my goals. I would love to hear what your goals are for your quails, or maybe you breed chickens or rabbits, or even, I don't know, goats, sheep. And yeah, I would love to hear from you what your goals are and what you will be up to this year. So feel free to let me know in the comments, and to stay tuned for the next episode of the Quail Breeding Diaries, where I will share everything about the documentation and about resetting and cleaning and creating a coop for my breeding groups. Please just subscribe, and yeah, see you soon. Bye!